Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson, World Alternative Media here, and we are joined once again by the one and only David Morgan, and there's so much to talk about because I think people are getting more excited by the day about the future of silver and cryptocurrency. We're going to go into both of those in this interview today, but I wanted to first ask you about where's the silver market at right now, because I'm seeing a lot of similarities with the silver-gold ratio that we've seen in the past. We see that peak, and then we see it followed by usually an economic crisis, followed by a bull run for gold and silver. So what do you think about that?
Well, it's not easy to quantify, but really silver is as cheap today as it's ever been. So let me explain. If you use the metric of the Great Depression, silver is 22 cents an ounce. Buffett bought silver in 1997, announced it in 1999. He's buying it through 97, 98. And it was around the $5 or sub $5 level. And that was the all-time inflation-adjusted low price because $5 was worth less than 22 cents was in the Great Depression. So I think I made my point. Now to go further, $15 silver, $16 silver today is actually less than the $5 silver back in the 1999 time frame. Why is that? And the answer is very simple, because of QE, quantitative easing, which is the fancy term for money printing. So if you look at it from the perspective that I do, to explain further, because I'm going to get the hate mail, you're wrong. It's from TMS, True Money Supply. Look it up. Do your own research, at least do that much. But if you base it on true money supply, silver is as cheap today as it's ever been. So you're right. As far as the gold-silver ratio and the inflation-adjusted true price of silver, it's dirt cheap.
What do you think places silver in many respects above gold, for example? Because I mean, I'm a big fan of both, but I always found that silver always seemed to be a more bullish long-term, and not as much an investment as wealth insurance. I find that silver is highly, highly undervalued today. For example, I mean, we've seen such a vast amount of manipulation over the years by banks. We've seen them get caught red-handed in many cases, rigging the market, spoofing the markets. We just saw that at JP Morgan. We've seen that at Deutsche Bank. So what makes silver such a target? Why is it considered such a bullish commodity?
Well, Josh, you are saying it's a bullish commodity. I believe it as well, but you know, I remember, I mean, you know how old I am, but you go back into the Barron's era, you know, and I still subscribe to Barron's magazine, by the way. But there was an article after the 1980 run-up in silver, and it was called "Silver is Gold's Poodle," implying that, you know, gold is the king and silver is a subset. And I still hear that's pretty much the case, at least psychologically. But I think you framed the question of why are there so many bullish factors for silver, and of course it's not only the monetary value, but it's the usage. I mean, there's so many uses for silver, solar voltaics being one that most people are so acquainted with. And the other part is history. Whenever there is an inflation, you see silver outperform everything else. And that's not me saying it. It's someone that's better studied on silver than me, or perhaps equally as well studied. And that's Professor Roy S. Jastrom, that wrote The Golden Constant. And he looked at gold over several centuries to see how it performed in an inflation to deflation. And then he looked after that book and said, I wonder what silver does during the same conditions. And he found out that nothing, and I mean nothing, so far compares to silver in an inflationary environment. Does that mean the next time we have an inflationary blow-off that silver is going to outperform everything else? The answer is no. It doesn't necessarily mean that, but history has proven it certainly participates in that kind of environment. So when you have an uncertainty in the monetary system and failure looks like it's going to be because of debasing the currency, you want to have some silver.
And I have to say, I mean, there's so much evidence of a lot of confusion and concern, and you know, a lot of panic among some. I don't know if it's necessarily something that's new. I mean, we've been seeing a lot of panic in the markets for a long time now, and of course, people always get on us. It's like, oh, you've been saying the markets are going to crash for so long, and the thing is, we've been right for so long. It's just been so centralized and so propped up for so long that it's impossible to say when it's going to happen. You just know that something's going to happen. And with that said, combine that with the silver markets, and it's such a beautiful time to see a market come to its end, but then at the same time see silver so low. I think a lot of people look at that and go, that's probably about the best opportunity we've seen in recent times. So I was wondering, going through 2019, we're here in February, where do you see silver going in the year 2019?
Yeah, I'm going to wait on gold pretty much. I want to see gold break through the 1350 level in US dollar terms and hold that and beyond. And once that's achieved, then I want to see the gold-silver ratio get to below 80. And really 72, 74 is kind of my magic number. What does that mean, David? It means that silver's outperforming gold and that the ratio is low enough where it usually starts to accelerate, which means that the bull market has more momentum, gaining more momentum. And that's really what I want to see. I think both metals will perform well this year, but not exceedingly so. And I think there'll be more and more people that are doing just what you said a moment ago, Josh, are looking at, well, what's overvalued? Oh, almost everything. What's undervalued? Nothing's more undervalued than silver. David Morgan said it, so it must be true. But the point is that is a place to look right now.
And of course, when you see governments buying up and hoarding these commodities too, that gives you a big red flag as well. I mean, they usually say one thing and do another thing, right? And it's like kind of your parents saying, do as I say, not as I do. I think we should do the opposite with government. You know, we should probably do as they're doing and not as they say, right? And I wanted to ask you, because you're probably one of the world-renowned experts on silver, I do believe so, and I wanted to get your thoughts on where you came from in this market. What brought silver to your attention and made you focus so heavily on silver and gold over your years, and brought so much interest to you in that respect?
Well, I started off, self-study about money. I was sort of obsessed by it as a kid, actually, and started looking into it. And I was pretty acquainted with markets and, things. And I was kind of a gold bug, actually, when I was, in my pre-20s through my early 20s. And when the silver market peaked and gold market peaked January 21st, 1980, I looked back and I started to wonder why the Hunt brothers were so obsessed about the silver market. So I started really gobbling up everything I could about the silver market. So it really was during the first bull market that I lived through, I was more prone toward gold. Well, the more I dove into the silver market, the more flabbergasted I became as far as its potential, not only as money, because we used silver up until the time I was 11 years old for money, believe it or not, folks. I get that question all the time. It's not money. Well, it is. But anyway, back on point, so many new uses. So that kind of converted me to what would be, plus the performance. Gold did, like the final run in silver from 1979 January to January 1980 was an 800% gain in 1 year. I just gave my lecture today, as you recall, and I said that 90% of the move comes in the last 10% of the time. And if you do the arithmetic, 87.5% of the move came in the last 7% of the time. So that's how these markets can move. Gold during that same time frame appreciated maybe threefold. So silver outperformed gold by 2.5 times. And that's usually what happens again in an inflationary scare. So I think it will perform the same way again.
Well, I know you've been working real hard lately, and you're a very busy man. I wanted to ask you about something that's actually taking some of your time up, which is Lode, which I find to be a very interesting concept. And I wanted you to bring it to our viewers' attention, for those that haven't yet heard. What is Lode, and why are you involved?
Well, I think the best thing is to go to the website. I'm involved because I've always liked Hugo Salinas Price, and I wouldn't want to speak for him directly, but I'm pretty close to him, that we would like to see silver reinstituted as a monetary system. Not necessarily the only one, but as a choice, as a competitor to the current systems. That means a competitor to a fiat system, a competitor to a crypto system, competitor to, say, a hybrid system. So Lode, really, the best way I can explain it is that it's a silver-based bank. And it's not a tokenized system. There's a few systems out there that you can tokenize your silver or gold and spend it in the marketplace. Gold money would be a good example. Nothing against that. But what we really want to do is we want to get enough of a solid base where we silver bankers, so to speak, is on the distributed ledger. No one owns it. The only owners are the people that contribute a deposit into the bank. Those are the people that load the system with silver. They reap silver rewards because of the synergy, the synergy that is established when you make a transaction with the AGX coin. So it's a silver bank of the people, for the people, and by the people. That's on the ledger, so there's no funny business. Those people read the rewards as being a participant in any stakeholder, in any well-run, honest-based company where you are a shareholder or a stakeholder based on what your contribution is. And that keeps the system going. So basically over time what happens is you acquire more and more and more silver. Now the people that founded the system reap it proportionally, pro rata, and they can do with it as they please, like anyone as a stakeholder in a company. They can use it spend it or save it or whatever. The other part is that some of that silver goes back into the lode or into the metal mass, which means over time that base keeps growing and growing and growing. There's a reason for that. One is we like to see more and more interest in the silver market, and secondly, it absolutely guarantees that all the AGX coins are covered by at least 100% silver backing.
So I wanted to finally ask a little bit about your thoughts on the competition of currencies with silver, gold, and cryptocurrencies, which you're kind of incorporating again with Lode. Do you think that there will always be a place, regardless of how advanced the technology gets, will there always be a place for gold and silver?
I do, and I'm in pretty good company. There was a pretty good crypto debate, you might call it, at the Silver Summit 2 years ago. I can't say his name, Tika Tawardi. He's a great guy. I liked him. I thought he was straight up. I don't follow his work real closely, but one of the people that works for me does. And so at the end of the session, it was the last panel that I was on. We're all sitting down. It was myself, Doug Casey, and I forget, Adrian Day, I think, and a few others that are pretty much at that conference level. And we're asked one question: 10 years out, what would you rather own, Bitcoin or gold? And all of us said gold. So I think there will always be a place for gold and silver.
And finally, one last question, David. Why do you still do this all the time? What makes you so passionate to keep doing this all the time, to focus all your attention on this day in, day out?
Well, it is a passion, and that's the way to live life, with passion. And secondly, I look at it as like a mission statement. I'm going to get up until the day I can't get up, or I'm gone, or whatever. And I think it's the most important thing that I can do in life is to be of service to others. And the most important thing I can do with my life is to tell the truth. Not my truth or some truth, but the truth. And the truth is all fiat systems fail, and that we ourselves, the people, really deserve to have the power. We don't need to be ruled or kinged or, let's say, put into a box or some system that someone is on top of us that controls us. We are all humans. We are born free, and we should be free. And the only way you can maintain that in the current system is to have an honest, free monetary system, and we don't have that. Money is used as a control mechanism. So if my last breath, I hope I've contributed in some way, shape, or form to bring that power of peace, freedom, and integrity back to the human race, because there's nothing, in my view, more important than that. That's why.
I think you certainly have. So I really appreciate your time again, David, and we hope to talk to you again soon. Like what you see here, WAM? Don't forget to check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon. We can't do it without you. Any donation is very much appreciated, especially as we are so heavily demonetized and censored by YouTube, as these guys come in and flag all of our content as hate speech. The shadow banning is getting really bad, guys. Also, check our Bitcoin address right here on the screen or in the description below. We really appreciate it. And of course, check us out at the Red Pill Expo 2019. Of course, the great G. Edward Griffin and so many other incredible speakers will be there. Our link for that is below as well. And we cannot forget Mike Maloney's goldsilver.com, which you can also find in the description. One of the greatest market and monetary historians out there. We really encourage everyone to check that out. But until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.
I'm sure you have already changed people's minds in your young age because you're involved, and I like that.